Hey, let me tell you what Edge of Indy is all about. Edge of Indy is about focusing on local Indianapolis entrepreneurs and innovators, movers and shakers. We also focus on the people and organizations out there that are helping make Indianapolis a growing and thriving city and a great place to live and visit and work. That's what Edge of Indy is all about. So we're always happy to talk about local community, and we ask our listeners to choose local and choose local often. So I would like to introduce to you Mayor Scott Fadness, Mayor of Fishers. Thanks for coming on board.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
You didn't know how short that show was going to be.
Oh my gosh, that was the best interview I've ever done.
We're done. Thank you for joining us. Hey, first things first, let me ask you an obvious question. What did you buy at your visit to the brand new IKEA?
Yeah, so my wife, it's kind of odd. My wife bought a large cowhide.
Naturally.
Yeah, naturally. That's what everyone goes to IKEA for. I didn't know we were in the market for a cowhide, but she turned the corner and seemed to almost be a light beam on this group of cowhides, and she went through them and picked one, and we are now the proud owner of a cowhide.
Does it match other free objects in the house?
We don't have any other pelts, if that's what you're asking, but we do now have a cowhide on the floor.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Really tied the room together.
I go there for the Swedish meatballs. Fadness goes there for the cowhides.
Right.
All right.
Well, he's on to something because you've had some pretty major openings these last couple of weeks. You
absolutely.
have a Portillos now,
Right.
you have IKEA, and then Topgolf. So
Yeah,
what
crowd.
isn't happening in Fishers?
Well, I mean, it's a bunch of crowd pleasers, and it all happened like in the same 2-week window, which is really pretty crazy.
Wow.
With Portillos, Topgolf, and IKEA all opening. And probably the most important thing about all of that is we did not have traffic apocalypse like some were predicting. So we've jumped through that hurdle, and now we just have these kind of cool experiential retail components in our city for residents to enjoy. And I've been to all three, and I think all three are fun and unique in their own way.
In the same day?
I've been to Portillos and IKEA in the same day. I've not done Topgolf,
Well,
IKEA, or Topgolf.
maybe
Portillos.
this weekend you can do all three.
Do all three.
I got to work up to that, I think.
And end it with some more cowhide.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe.
Hey, your love for and of Fishers isn't just favoritism. In fact, Fishers has become synonymous with growth and was ranked actually number one place to live in America by Money Magazine in 2017. Okay.
How'd you do that?
Yeah,
I
what's
don't
up
know.
with that?
I mean, I wish I could claim that we were pursuing that, but we weren't. We woke up Monday morning and they let us know that they were having this press release that said we were the number one place to live in America, which I actually think is the best kind of award that you're not out seeking. You're just recognized for. But I just, for the last 5 years, I've just believed that there was this version of Fishers that we could achieve, kind of the best possible version of Fishers. And we've been heads down, my entire team, the city council, everybody. And there's just this momentum behind it. And every time we do something, it reaffirms that vision is the right one from our perspective. And there's no sign of it slowing down anytime soon, which is really fun and exciting for me.
So, thank you for the segue. What kind of projects can we actually look forward to the future in Fishers?
I think you're going to see more jobs, frankly. We've brought in over 4,000 jobs in the last 2.5 years.
Oh, wow.
And we'll close out this year with a series of jobs announcements again. And you're going to have the Internet of Things Lab opening up. You're going to have a culinary accelerator opening up in the next year. You're going to have a bunch of new restaurants because we think culinary is kind of the new frontier, if you will, of retail. And more downtown redevelopment and just a dynamic city, I think. But definitely job growth will be at the core of a lot of it.
Can you touch on, because I know entrepreneurship is like near and dear to your heart and it's something that you've really incorporated into your plans. How are you growing that mission in Fishers, and why do you think it's such a petri dish for all of these new businesses and things? Like what about Fishers brings that out in people?
Well, I don't think it's any one singular thing. I think it's a concerted and intentional effort to create an ecosystem where people who have an entrepreneurial passion, it's the most hospitable environment they're going to find. At least that's what we're trying. That's what we aspire to, right? So what's interesting today is we're branching out into other verticals besides, everyone's kind of doing the co-working thing now. You can find co-working just about anywhere.
Yep.
But we were one of the first to do that, and we have the largest co-working space, and we're now 625 members at our co-working space. Had a number of good companies launch out of there. But now we're branching out into different verticals like Internet of Things. So we're opening the first facility in Indiana that's an IoT lab. It's going to be roughly 30,000 square feet, and it's almost filled up before we even open it up with great companies that are in that space. And then move on to culinary. We're going to have this restaurant accelerator where we're going to do similar things. We're going to groom the next generation of culinary talent in an environment that's kind of second to none. And you start to see all that come together, and then we're going to align our school system around that, and it just becomes a core value of our community, this idea that we're an entrepreneurial city, and that attracts other like-minded individuals to your community. And, you know, when you put 10 or 12 true entrepreneurs together, I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but whatever it is going to be, it's probably going to be a net positive to your local economy. And that's, I literally go out and try to recruit people. I know the entrepreneurs in the region, and I pay attention to them, and I will go out and build an individual relationship with those people and get them bought into the story of Fishers. And so far, we've had a pretty good hit rate of, hey, they're going to come here and they're going to plug in, and we stay connected to them and we celebrate their wins, and we're there when they have a few losses. And, you know, that momentum has just continued year in and year out.
It's a hard place not to like, I'll tell you that.
Do you often put entrepreneurs in a cage match?
We should. It would be interesting. Instead of pitch competitions, we just throw them into a cage match. That would be something. But they are.
It's a 2018 initiative.
You know, in America, it's interesting. In America, you see, for several years, we were always creating more companies and closing them. But then in 2008, 9, 10, 11 past, we continue to close more companies than we open. And I just think if you look at job growth, it comes from startup companies, it comes from small companies. And we're all obsessed with chasing the whales. I mean, clearly I've been involved in this Amazon thing and others, but we can't neglect this creating this environment where organic wealth and organic job creation actually occurs.
But at the same time, businesses closing cannot be used as a metric of failure anymore because the low threshold of business startups are happening. The co-work environments right there. There's an incubation status, and it's good to fail and fail quickly if you're going to do something, right?
Well, I think that in itself should not be the metrics of success or failure. It's are we having perpetual innovation and, you know, that new creation that substitutes for or supplements when you have those fail. But we've had companies that have failed, and the next day they're back at launch Fishers, integrated into the overall ecosystem, looking for new jobs and the next idea. So I agree. Failure has been something not only at launch Fishers or in the entrepreneurial world, but even at City Hall. I mean, politicians are scared to death of their own shadow when it comes to failing or looking like they fail. And, you know, I believe that cities need to adapt. Cities need to try new things, and they will fail. I mean, we'll fail at things. We fail at things in the city of Fishers, but be open and candid about it and be more afraid of being complacent.
You know, speaking of entrepreneurs and innovation, Steve Case was here, best known as the co-founder and former chief executive officer and chairman of American Online. He was actually recently in Indianapolis for his part of Rise of the Rest. So can you share some of those thoughts about his visit and what it means to be innovative in Indiana?
So a couple things. I think mainly it was just reaffirming. I remember the breakfast where they had Steve Case talk, and then they had a group of Indianapolis leaders in the tech and entrepreneurial sectors speak, and at different points you almost wanted to yell out amen. I mean, we were all kind of in the same belief that we can move a region forward. And what was great is Steve having the breadth and knowledge and experience that he has to come in and see this and go, yeah, you guys you're on track. You're doing something here. There's a there, if you will. That was really reaffirming that we're headed in the right direction, that there's a passion and a momentum behind not just Fishers, but our entire region. And that was really energizing. That day was pretty cool.
No, it was, and we were happy to be part of it.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
He's getting choked up talking about it.
Hello, Clem. Talk amongst yourselves. Now, but I mean, you were there, and you represent a different type of, dare I say it, politician. Okay, I mean, you are a mayor, right?
And I am a politician by job description. Yes, that is correct.
We all have to,
you got to own up to it.
Yeah. First thing,
I am what I am. Self-awareness is key.
But the thing is, you represent a different type of politician. You are plugged in to what's happening on the ground level with innovation and new business. You're not governing from afar. You're not governing from a political party standpoint. You're growing the community, right?
Yeah.
How do you lead that? How do you demonstrate that to different city officials and different leaders across the country? How do you start that type of brush fire?
You just put your head down and be as successful as you possibly can in that, and other people will start to pay attention. And I think it's a strong dose of humility. Mm-hmm. You don't want to be arrogant about the successes you had. Instead, you want to be a leader amongst your peers.
Right.
And I think more and more people are gravitating towards individuals who are, this is going to sound like jargony, but dogmatically pragmatic. Like I did not grow up dreaming about being a politician. In fact, where I grew up, being a politician or a lawyer were not known as noble professions.
And they are now.
Yeah, I've not had an aspiration to be in politics. It just happened to me, right? It was just a set of circumstances. So I guess I don't fit the normal mold. I don't know how to be anything other than myself, and it confuses some in the political world, and it inspires others who are not. And frankly, if I had to earn the respect of one of the two groups, I'd rather earn the respect of the resident or the business leader, and the other overly ambitious politicians. If that's their thing, that's their thing, but it's not mine.
But we are seeing, and that's well said, because you don't want to go in there with that type of hubris, obviously.
Right.
But you do find yourself, Mayor Fadness, in a space to actually lead other mayors and other community organizers, and there's a groundswell starting to happen now of what it means to really lead with innovation.
Yes.
So have you been able to speak to groups in which they're trying to change not only the stigma of politicians, but also, just like the innovative community, the launch community is an incubator of different,
new and different
ideas. Is there a community, is there an environment where your thoughts can really be communicated in a kind of conference area like that?
I think so. I mean, we don't have well, maybe we do have some sort of, conference for politicians or something. I don't know. But what I think is happening is there's a huge vocabulary gap between the tech and innovation crowd and government policy and political crowd. And what
Amen.
I work really hard to try to do is I want to try to help build the bridge between the two. I think neither one understands each other's world, and entrepreneurs just go, look, the more government stays out of my life, stays out of my world, and just doesn't do damage, all the better for it. Yeah. Politicians go, look, I don't get these guys. They wear skinny jeans and they talk funny and they wear T-shirts all the time. I don't get them. But they both need each other.
Yep.
For Indiana to be prosperous for the future, to pivot this economy the way we need to, they have to figure out how to communicate with one another and do it effectively. And so I think where I can perhaps help is I have a foot in both worlds to some degree. And so I want to help try to translate, if you will, so that we do have tech influence in the public policy sector so that we can move Indiana forward. I think that's really, really, really critical. If you start to look at some of the metrics in Indiana and some of the challenges that we're faced with, the tech community is going to play a critical role in the long-term viability of this state.
No, absolutely. Fantastic thoughts there. Well, I got to ask you, what's in the future of Scott Fadness?
Well, I don't know.
More IKEA.
Yeah, I'm gonna get 2 IKEAs.
Yeah. Oh, good.
There's 45.
You heard it here first.
There are
Breaking news.
45 communities in the country that have 1 IKEA, but nobody has 2 IKEAs.
That's true.
No, I don't. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for me. I won't be mayor forever. I'm 35 years old. In another 4 years, I will have put almost 20 years. In 4 or 5 years, I'll almost put 20 years into the city of Fishers, which is a long time for a millennial. And then, I think
just the attention span alone is amazing.
Yeah, it is quite amazing.
You stop it over there.
Sorry, I'm an old fogey.
No, I don't really have a specific plan forward, but I will go wherever my ideas and my passions take me. That might take me into the private sector. It could keep me in Fishers, or I could go do something else in government. I just don't know. Wherever the ideas and passions take me, that's where I'll probably end up.
That's probably the best answer as opposed to having any type of agenda. I mean,
I have no agenda, so I really don't. Like I said, I never had a political ambition.
Yep.
But what I've learned through going through this process of politics is it expands your capacity to go do the things you really care about. And so for me, being mayor is nothing more than creating enough space and a conduit for me to pursue the ideas and the passion that I have for the city that I live in. And that is a true gift. It's been an incredible ride, and I enjoy it every day. And man, there's so much going on. I have such a great team around me as well. It really makes the experience really enjoyable.
Do you have any advice for young entrepreneurs throughout Fishers, throughout Indy, throughout the state of Indiana? What's something that you would want to leave them with?
That there is a network of people and resources available to them that are more than willing to try to help plug them into whatever their passions are. And I think those guys out in Lagodi, Indiana, that maybe have an idea, or wherever they might be in Indiana, Bern, Indiana, wherever it might be. How do we connect them to Central Indiana, where there's this huge buzz going on, right? I want those people to feel like in Indiana there is the culture and there is the ecosystem available for them to really prosper and enjoy keeping their companies right here in Indiana.
Love it.
hey, you're representing the best of us.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. So how do we find what you're doing regularly?
I'm on Twitter at Scott Fadness, and I'm also on Facebook, Scott Fadness. And, just check out Fishers. Come on up, shop at IKEA, get a cowhide. Go to Top Golf.
There's going to be a rush on cowhides.
Yeah, exactly.
You realize that.
Yep.
I think Fishers is so poised to be this really dynamic city over the next 5 to 10 years. I think we are just getting warmed up, and I think it's going to be a place that is so unique, and the culture is so entrepreneurial. It just really is fun. So I hope people come check it out.
It's infectious as well, and if you're wanting to start a company, I mean, consider Fishers highly, because there's so many good mentors there as well.
Yep.
And good shopping.
And good shopping.
Right, there you go.
Stick around. There's plenty of places to shop in Fishers.
That's right.
And there's bacon. Got to throw bacon into the mix.
There is.
Sorry, it's a thing with me. It is.
Every day.
All right. So check out the Fishers Economic Development at Fishers econdev.com. CECON dev.com.
Some of those letters, put those letters together.
They're right there, but I'm having a senile moment, evidently. Thank you so much, Mayor, for being part of Edge of Indy, and we'll certainly be lifting you up from our social media.
Cool.
And as you're rattling the cages and making a whole different wake, we're certainly applauding you. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for your investment.
Keep up the
Thank
good
you.
work.
Appreciate it.
You're more than welcome. All right.